And blast off. Here we go. All right. So welcome to the third week of our Web Center 90-day fast track, you guys. What a whirlwind it has been. I can't even believe it. And I have to say a huge thank you to our fast track coaches who have been just so critical to us staying engaged constantly. I know I've been traveling a lot, and it was just so awesome to know that, I could take a flight home last Sunday and that the fast track coaches would just have it under control. There was no loss. There was no sense of not getting, the real deal. They are the real deal, and I'm just so grateful to them because they've just been doing incredible work to support all of us. So huge thank you to them for pinch hitting for me last week. Don and Trista, they did excellently, I heard. So and actually that call is up and recorded and available for you to review. So, as we enter our third week, I just want to go over a couple of housekeeping things and let you know what we're going to be covering tonight. Yes, these webinars are being recorded. And again, as long as the recording is successful, the recording and or the presentation is being uploaded to mawc411.com. So you can review all of the recordings there, but again, we're not guaranteeing that recordings happen successfully. So if you want to make sure that you get the information, the best thing I can do is tell you to show up on Sundays like everybody else. So that's the best thing you can do to get the information. Also, the recordings are not featuring the question and answer session at the end, and that is intentional. Again, we want to make sure that people show up on time because I'm telling you guys, it's like when you miss that first college class. You miss that first college class, and then all of a sudden you're now giving yourself permission to miss it again. And if you get this information on Sunday night, it makes a very big difference in how you can apply it for that following week. Whereas if you're relying on getting around to listening to the recording whenever you can, that may happen Monday, it may happen on Wednesday, it may not happen at all. So we want to make sure that we're incentivizing the people to show up on time so that you can position yourself for success in the best way that we know how. Okay, so we are sending out reminders via email for these. We're talking about them on the Facebook group. So all I can say is make sure you're showing up, that you're asking your questions, and that you're staying engaged. Okay, so for tonight, we're going to be talking about a couple of things. We're going to talk about the results that we had last week, and the total results that we've seen thus far in the first 2 weeks. And then we're going to talk about assessing your groove. So when I was reading through the reports today, actually, I saw a couple of common themes. And one of them was I'm talking to lots of people, but I'm not really sure how to get them to commit to an appointment. I'm getting it out there. I'm starting conversations, but I just feel stuck. And, I see that there's 10 contacts made, but 0 appointments. So we're going to talk about how to address that because I saw that in a couple of people's things. And then another thing I want to talk about is assessing your groove. Looking at the activity that you've been doing and the right kinds of questions that you need to ask yourself so that you can continue to grow and improve and get the kinds of results that you want to see. I'm seeing people that spend a whole bunch of time in scenarios that are not necessarily result producing activities. So, I'll see zeros across the entire board for the report, but then this really, really, outside of the box thing in the note session, which is fine. Thinking outside of the box is great. You want to do those things because, our creativity and all of that, it just makes us who we are. And I think that's great. But I want to make sure that we're assessing whether or not those things that we're doing outside of the box are supporting the result producing activities, or are they getting in the way of you doing things that are going to make you money. Okay, so we are going to talk about how to look at your reports from it critically so that you can, assess how you've been doing and grow from there. Then we're going to get to hear from Matt Giebel. Matt is incredible, you guys. I can't wait for you guys to hear from him. I'll tell you a little bit more about who he is later, but what I will tell you is this, is Matt is, he's the kind of guy that walks the walk and he does all the things that he's going to talk to you about. So, I'm really, really excited for you to hear from him. He has a background. Actually, he's a professional opera singer, so his background is in the arts as well. But Matt has had weeks where he sold multiple websites inside of 1 week. Even just like I without any technical background or any business background. And so I think what he has to offer today is really, really great. I'm excited to hear from him. And then we're going to hear some announcements. So let's get right into it, okay? So the results from the second week were also incredible. 2,666 contacts were made. 512 total appointments were set, 127 website appointments set, and then 90 appointments to show the web center opportunity. And you guys, I just want to say that this is really big stuff. I know this isn't the section where we're recording big results or retail profits or new business partners, but this is the kind of stuff that's going to grow into results over the next 10 to 12 weeks, right? Because you can't just make a sale, well, you can, but it's just like the business. You don't walk into a business, you guys, and just sell a website like you're selling a tube of lipstick. Generally, there's some relationship building that has to happen there. Generally, there's some time and follow up, right? So, to scheduling that appointment, to getting the information to the prospect, to letting them evaluate that information and form some good questions and follow up with you, right? There's a process to selling a website. The right way, just like there's a process to personally sponsoring and growing your business. So when I look at these numbers and I see, 2,600 contacts made, I get excited. I get excited for the amount of possibilities that are on the table so soon in the fast track, because I know that if we do the right things and if we follow up with those numbers, we will see those numbers manifest into business partners and into website sales and into product sales and people at big events. This is what it's all about. We have to lay the groundwork if we want to see the results. From there, we saw some really great completed activity. 241 plans were shown last week. 78 web center owner overviews were completed. Now, just to be clear, you guys, there's a number of ways where you could share the web center owner opportunity with people, right? And, this is the first fast track, actually, where there were lots of standardized ways to do this. In the past, it was just you doing a one-on-one with a web center owner prospect, right? And now you have all kinds of opportunities. You can show the Web Center Overview PowerPoint, and that is available by going to mawc411.com. It's the first link right on the homepage. So make sure you download that presentation, you guys, because you can share the program so easily now one-on-one or on a webinar of your own. Another way that you can share this is by plugging them into a live webinar. A second and fourth Tuesday overview is when we're having myself and other trainers and other fast track coaches conduct these web center owner overviews, which is an excellent way for them to get the information and also be able to ask questions. And then further, the new Web Center UMO is available, and whether or not there's one scheduled in your area, it doesn't matter anymore because there's lots of live overviews being conducted online. Also, 63 website appointments were completed. Now, if you saw the statistics that Don shared with you last week, sales happen on the 5th to 12th contact, right? And the website product specialists are going to follow up with these people that have had website appointments. So if they didn't close this week, that doesn't mean they're not going to close. It just means that we're going to follow up with them. We're going to get their questions answered. And we're going to do everything that we need to do to make sure those website sales close, right? So in this past week, we had 13 website sales, which retailed at $18,900 and produced $11,400 in website retail profit. That is excellent news. Other sales were, including motive sales, TLS, etc. Over $17,000 in other Market America product sales. And what I saw in several people's notes was this: wow, I went in there prospecting for the business, or I went in there prospecting for a website, and I ended up selling a product. That kind of stuff is going to happen because when you're talking to 3 people a day, you never know where that conversation is going to lead. You never know if, you thought they were a good unfranchised prospect, but it turns out they're a good website prospect or a good product prospect, right? All of these opportunities are going to present themselves for you, to you, as long as your ears are open and you're doing a good job listening to your prospects. More than that, 12 personally sponsored and 14 new business partners that came on as a result of you showing more plans on behalf of people in your team. And you can see at the bottom there, guys, really big pin levels this week. 8 coordinators, 8 new executives, 2 new masters, and 1 new professional coordinator. Guys, this is huge. This is only week 2, and I want to let everybody on the call know this. If you are an experienced web center owner and you've been planting seeds and you've been out there, talking to prospects and you're seeing results right away, that's great. But if you're a new web center owner and right now the majority of your time is being focused on making contacts, scheduling an appointments, and conducting them, I want to encourage you to continue to follow up with these appointments that are being conducted, because you will too see these kinds of results popping through. But again, it is a process. So I want to let you know that if you haven't had a website sale yet, all you need to be focused on is scheduling and conducting website appointments. You'll see it pop through. It's just like the business. And the same thing is true for scheduling plans and getting people in front of a plan. Don't be discouraged. Just understand that there's a little bit of time involved here. And if you stick with it, if you continue to follow up, you're going to see those results for yourself as well. So that just brings our total results thus far, just so you know, in the first 2 weeks to 23 sales for websites, generating $22,700 in retail profit, of also $35,921 in other Market America products, 33 personally sponsored, and 36 additional partners. That's incredible, you guys. Just a quick congrats to everybody that sold a website this week. Hung Long Tang, Jing Chen, Taurus Hung, Denise D'Souza, Tristan Russell Polo with the hat trick, 3 website sales this week. This is incredible. Ricky Schneider, Jenny Hull Hartline, Carla Chirek, and Kirk Kwok, who's a web center trainer that I met in Hong Kong. So congratulations to all of you. And if it's okay with the polos, I would love to scroll down here to Trista and Russell and just let them take 2 minutes and share with you, where did you find your website prospects? Because I would love, love, love for you to just share with them, where did you find your prospects and how did you get 3 website sales inside of 1 week? Russell, Trista.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Congratulations.
Thank you. This is unexpected. I did not have anything prepared.
There's nothing to prepare. I just want you to tell everybody, where did you find the leads and how did it happen for you? Just 2 minutes, nothing big.
Yeah, so they were all referrals. One was a gift and collectible store that I've known for a really long time. They were using a much larger solution for a much larger store. They sold their large store, downsized to a smaller boutique kind of a place. And when they were ready to get a site that was not attached to their POS, they called us. And the other 2 were actually referrals kind of from each other. One was a referral from somebody that knew of me from a builders association that I had done a website for, and they heard about it, loved it, asked us to do an overview for them for their wine trail. And then one of the wineries that was part of decision making loved everything we did so much that they also wanted a site for their winery. So it was all from referrals, relationship building, and a lot of legwork. These were all longer term legwork sort of things that all kind of culminated this week.
That's awesome, you guys. Thank you so much for sharing. I know I totally didn't ask you or prepare you, but I mean, come on, with the hat trick, you had to tell everybody where those came from. So, you guys, I just want to let you guys know that is the funnest way to make website sales. And Trista and Russell made 3 this week, and I will say this. They are top selling web center owners and they sell websites consistently on a month to month basis, and they do it this way. So when we're telling you and we're drilling you about networking and the power of networking through people to get to leads, this is why, you guys, because you can have incredible results and you can see them consistently if you do it this way. And it's just so enjoyable. So congratulations to all of you guys that sold a website this week. And like I said, you guys, we saw all those appointments that have been set earlier. So if you continue to follow up and network through people over this 90-day fast track, you could see a week like that for yourself as well. You just got to stick with it. All right, so let's get into a couple of quick points. And again, these topics are based off of whatever we've seen, consistently in the reports that really just justify the topic for the night. So by this point, you've got 2 weeks under your belt, right? You've done 2 weeks, and there are some very serious and important questions that I'd like you all to ask yourself. And we have to be really honest because when I ask myself these questions, I find some very serious situations that I'd like to improve on. And I hope and I will do those improvements because I'm able to own it, right? So number one, how are you doing for scheduling? I actually we addressed this last week in a major way. We shared 5 tips for maximizing productivity, but I still saw a lot of questions popping up on Facebook and also in the report saying, I just don't have, not sure how to fit this in. And what I'm challenging you to do is just find 15 minutes and commit to it like you commit to your job. If you could just commit 15 minutes a day to making your 3 contacts, first of all, it's like ripping off a band-aid. So picking up the phone or texting someone or contacting them via private Facebook message is so quick and easy, right? 15 minutes a day. And again, it's just 15 minutes. If you could find that time, everybody can find that time. It's not it's if you will, not if you can, but if you will find that time to talk to 3 people a day, you'll make time for the appointments. And then from there, it's all about just leveraging the team so that you can actually have the time to conduct these appointments, right? So if you're scheduling website appointments in 15 minutes a day, that's easy to do, right? Make sure you're using product specialists so that if you do work a full-time job or you can't be available, it doesn't matter. You have that leverage, you guys. It's like you own a business and you have all these groups of people that are your employees or that work for you, right? They're not your actual employees, but they essentially are your team and they are there to do business on your behalf. And the same thing is true for showing plans, right? If you don't have the night free to show the plan, then leverage something else that's going on. Is there a webinar overview? Is there a video you can share? Is there a UBP going on, right? Leverage and understand the possibilities that exist in your schedule. Do you know what's going on in your NMTSS for the next quarter? And if you do, guess what? Your scheduling is going to be so easy because you have events to book people into. And if you don't have those things going on, then scheduling appointments is going to be loosey-goosey. Next, are you being consistent? Is this happening every day for you, or or are there some tweaks you'd like to make there? If you can be consistent, you will become bulletproof by the end of this 90-day fast track because doing it a little bit every single day, your posture is going to improve tremendously, and you are going to be able to talk about this like it's just the easiest thing in the world. And it all comes from practice, right? If you're consistently doing something, it becomes easy. It becomes second nature. It becomes just as easy as talking about, what you ate for dinner the previous day. It's so simple. Are you spending your time wisely? This is really important, you guys. Are you spending your time? I don't even have any good examples, but I want you to look at the hours or the minutes that you have dedicated to your business, and I want you to ask yourself, is this going to create a customer, a business partner, or is this going to get someone in my group to an event? Those are the 3 things that everything that we do needs to be grounded off of. It needs to be founded there. And if it's not rooted in that, then we shouldn't be doing it. All right. What is the quality of the work that you're doing? And the quality of the contacts that you're making. And what I mean by that is, are you just reaching out to people and just saying, hey, what's up? And then that's it. Are you only reaching out to people that you haven't talked to in a really long time and you've got to kind of recultivate those relationships before you can finally have a conversation about business or websites? Because if that's the case, that's fine. You do want to be doing those things. But I encourage you to also have some higher level contacts that are happening as well. Because if all of your contacts are those first time contacts, like the ones where you're getting reacquainted with people, you're not going to see results right away. It's going to take a lot longer. And I want you to think about having a better balance of that. I want you to think about, having some people where you could be more direct, as well as those people that you're recultivating relationships with, those chicken contacts where you're just kind of getting back in the groove with them, right? I want you to ask yourself, what are you doing really well? Okay, that's important too. You have to acknowledge the things that are working and you have to acknowledge the things that you're good at, so you can continue to do those things. And then also, where would you like to improve? So take a look at your numbers and ask yourself these questions. These are the summary reports. This is the printout of essentially of the electronic one that you're submitting. All right. Are you seeing tons of contacts made, but no appointments being set? And if that's the case, what is the reason why or why not? Right? So if you're doing lots of first time contacts and they're all those recultivating contacts, guess what? You're not going to have any appointments. And if you don't have any appointments, you can't see any results. So you need to look at this with a critical eye and figure out, how is it working? Yes, the first 2 weeks you may see a lot more here and it's going to be a little bit looser over here, but eventually what you want to see, you guys, is a nice, even, balanced flow of all of these things happening synergistically together. All right, so the second thing I saw a ton of was I'm talking to people, but I'm having a hard time getting them to commit to an appointment, right? So that's great. Talking to people is the first step. So now we're going to talk about some tips for turning those conversations into appointments. And I want to talk about it really quickly in two different terms: A, for the business, and B, for web centers. All right? So for the business, how do you take a conversation from, hey, what's up and how are things going, and asking them questions about them and listening to them? How do you take it from that into an appointment? The first thing I would say is lower the pressure off of yourself. You are not asking them to get married. You are not asking them to be a business partner right away, right? You're just asking them to take a look. And I think that everybody gets so worked up about talking about the business, or they make it this huge thing in their head to the point where it's so big that they can't get over their own hurdles and you're in your own way, right? So if you could just release yourself from that pressure and just kind of relax a little bit and just realize, look, you're not asking anybody for anything other than to take a look. I think that you're going to communicate a lot more relaxed and a lot more effectively, because the pressure is off of you. The next thing I would say is take the pressure off of them, right? Don't ask them to sign at the dotted line, right? Don't ask them to look for themselves. Maybe just ask them to take a look because you respect their opinion or you respect their referrals. One of the best, the most magical things about doing a trial run with people is two things. It's twofold, really. A trial run person gets so many people in front of the plan, and they do it because the pressure is off of them. They don't feel like they're going to be judged because they're just asking people to take a look. They're keeping it that simple, and because they keep it that simple, they get people in front of the plan. And number two, they take the pressure off the person they're asking to take a look, because they're saying things like, hey, I thought you might be able to help me out. Listen, we're going to be building our business 100% through referrals. I know you know a lot of great people, and I would love, 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 if you could lead me to some people. But before you do that, I want you to take a look so that you know what you would be recommending them for. It's so simple. The pressure is so low that anybody that says no is not really a friend. All right. Next little tip: be specific on a date and time that you want them to take a look. Right? No flighty requests. And what I mean by that is, don't just say, "Hey, would you be willing to take a look?" Okay, cool, and then that's it, right? A lot of people leave it so open ended that they never actually book them into anything, right? So rather than doing that, just say, hey, would you be willing to take a look on Wednesday at 8 o'clock? We're going to be showing the plan via webinar, and I'd love it if you would be able to make that. Does that work for you? Right? Be very specific. Don't be afraid to be direct. Next, stop focusing on the person that you're talking to, right? Once you do that, once you take that focus off of them and you start, thinking more like in terms of who they could lead you to, they're going to be more comfortable, because now they don't feel like you're asking anything big of them. They're not going to feel like, geez, how am I going to let this person down if I don't want to do this? Again, it's that idea of low pressure will lead to appointments. And then finally, there's this this pesky little thing at the end. You have to ask them, right? So when you're looking at your conversations, judge the quality of the conversations that you're having. Are you asking them for what you want? And if you're afraid to ask for what you want, if you're afraid to ask them to take a look, they won't take a look. Almost 9 times out of 10, they're not going to say, hey, would you show it to me? Right? So you have to be confident enough to actually, when the timing is right, to say, hey, would you take a look? Listen, I build my business through referrals, and I know you know a lot of great people. But before you lead me to anybody, I'd really like you to know what I'm looking for and what we're doing, right? You have to ask them. Now, what about in terms of website sales, right? Web center owners, contacts into appointments. Number one, so many people, I'm seeing these like very, very complicated things where people are like, I got to sell them this, I got to sell them that. And there's all these, you know, specific details that really don't matter. right? Stop trying to sell them a website in 5 minutes and instead just focus on selling an appointment. Let the appointment sell the website for you. It's pretty impossible to sell a website in 5 minutes. There's so many big, amazing things about our solution, and they cannot be covered inside of 5 minutes, right? So focus on the appointment, you guys, right? Um, don't get hung up on every detail or reason why this is a special scenario. It's not a special scenario. It's really, really not. If you can just understand that, again, you're not trying to sell them any one thing, you're not selling features and benefits, and you could really, really embrace the fact that we're selling appointments no matter who the prospect is, it becomes simple and it becomes more efficient, and you get more appointments in your book, right? Next, solve a problem for your prospect, which is the appointment, right? Again, stop trying to sell them a product. Stop trying to sell features and benefits. Instead, sell them an appointment, which is a solution to a problem that you have found out in a conversation, right? Next, respect the relationship and the space that you are in, right? So, for example, I talked about this in the Facebook group, and I also attended the home show this week. And while I was there, I made it a point to meet lots of business owners, make an impact where they knew who I was, I knew who they were, but I wasn't selling them anything. And the reason why I wasn't selling them even on an appointment at that point was because I was at a home show where those business owners, most of them were contractors, spent thousands of dollars to rent a booth at this home show so that they could gain customers. So it wasn't appropriate. It was not appropriate for me to sell them anything, right? Because that's not fair. It's not fair for them to be solicited in a place where they're there to gain customers. But instead, I respected that space and I said, look, I took it as an opportunity to get to learn about some new people, some new businesses in my area. I introduced myself. I was very upfront about that. I said, yeah, I own a local business as well. It's great to meet you. Kept it simple. If it's a friend, you might be more direct. If it's your favorite restaurant, again, you'll probably be more direct and less social because it would be weird for you to ask your favorite restaurant owner, how their kids are doing if you don't know them. Right? So again, it's important to respect those relationships and to transition them appropriately. Right? Next, leave the conversation open to talking again in the future. Right? So no matter what's happening, if you're prospecting, you need to put it in a place where there's permission to follow up. Okay, so let's, even if it's as simple as, hey, let's keep in touch. Or, hey, I'd love to follow up with you next week. I know you're busy right now with the home show, but I'll give you a call next week. Have a great event. I hope it's a successful event, and we'll be in touch next week. Or listen, would you be willing to do a 15-minute consultation? Right? If you call up your favorite restaurant and they're just too busy and they just can't justify spending an hour on an appointment quite yet, maybe you could take some time to schedule a 15-minute consult instead. And here's why that would be so amazing. Number one, because it's an opportunity to to continue a conversation, whereas before it kind of felt like you were shut out, right? Like, oh, they're not willing to do an appointment. I guess I'm at a dead end. The 15-minute conversation reopens the door. Next, when you're doing that 15-minute consult, you're going to build incredible value because the questions that are in that consult are all geared toward getting the business owner super excited about their own business and about how they could market themselves, and B, they're all questions that would build value in our product. If you look at the online solution questions, we have a solution for every single thing that we ask them in that consult. So, not only are you keeping the door open to talk about the business and to talk about a possible website appointment in the future, but you're also, during that consult, I'm telling you guys, when you ask these questions, they're going to get so excited about their own business and about marketing themselves that, a website appointment, a full-on appointment is inevitable. It's awesome. Next, learn how to edify our teams, you guys. When you're talking about, the business or whatever, and you feel like, oh man, it's really time to schedule the appointment, but I just don't know what to say. Well, what you should say is your answer to what is it? And for most people, that's, hey, I work with a really great company and they have an entire team of professionals. If you want, I could get you an appointment with one of them and they will really be able to help you with that. I know that they're excellent. They work with all kinds of small to medium sized businesses, and it sounds like they really might be able to help you out. Edify them, follow up, use their hot buttons to schedule the appointment. Remember people's names when you're following up with them, right? If you're following up with your favorite restaurant owner, but you got to talk to the manager first, be like, hey, what's up, Susie? It's Sarah Rose. Really looking forward to I'm just calling to follow up. Is, Andy still available? That kind of a thing. The momentum sheets will help you to stay on track and focused. Um, so, with that being said, I just really wanted to make sure we took the time to do that. I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to Matt Giebel. Again, Matt Giebel is a professional opera singer. He's an incredible leader in the Midwest. He's an executive coordinator, but not for long. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let him take over from here and share with you a little bit about what he's been doing that's been working for him.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, very cool. First of all, I want to send kudos to you, Sarah Rose, because Sarah Rose and Ryan were in Wisconsin, and I'm in Illinois, but I was able to get up there last week, and they gave one of the best seminars I've ever been to, and they worked really hard on it, and I learned a lot. But not only that, they also opened up the room, allowed me to stay in their room, and I went to a Web Center 201 training, and I got to tell you guys, I learned so much at that 201. So if you have the opportunity to go one of those, I highly recommend it. Now, what I want to get into is maybe a reminder to those that are more experienced in this area. And I like to call it marketing 2.0 versus marketing one and done. Now, one and done, I guess you could say you make one sale and then you're done until you get lucky again. And when I went to this 201 training, I felt like such an idiot because I have been doing this one and done strategy, okay? And basically what it is, it's simply cold calling. And cold calling may work for if you're a big business or you have cash flow to hire a lot of sales reps, but even then, it's still such an ineffective way